The image you've been sold. You've seen the poster 1,000 times. Long blonde hair, blue or green eyes. Light skin that looks like it was designed in a lab. A face that Western media, Hollywood, fashion magazines, and Instagram algorithms have spent the last 70 years telling you is the pinnacle of female beauty. She is the Stacy, the final boss. The woman every man is supposed to want, and who, according to the logic of the modern dating market, only wants the top 20% back. Today I'm going to argue two things. First, that the Stacy archetype is a manufactured preference, not a natural one, and that the pedestal it sits on has been built for you by industries that profit from your dissatisfaction. Second, that the country of Thailand represents one of the most compelling cases for geomaxxing on the planet, not just for the obvious reasons, but for reasons that go deeper into lifestyle, culture, and what actually makes a man's daily life feel alive. Let's take both of these apart.
The Stacy archetype, blonde, blue-eyed, light-skinned, is not a universal ideal. It is a Western European export that became globally dominant through a specific historical accident: the dominance of Hollywood and Anglo-American media in the second half of the 20th century. Before cinema, before advertising, before Instagram, beauty standards were radically more local, more varied, and far more interesting. In Tang Dynasty China, the ideal of female beauty was full-figured, pale but in the East Asian sense, with dark eyes and elaborate hair. In ancient Egypt, it was dark-eyed, dark-haired, and linear in proportion. In pre-colonial West Africa, different standards again. Even within Europe, across different eras, the ideal shifted dramatically. Rubens painted abundant curves as the summit of desirability in the 1600s. The thin, angular blonde model is a 20th century invention, not a timeless truth. What we are dealing with in the Stacy archetype is a preference that has been aggressively marketed. Fashion houses built on Parisian and New York aesthetics. Hollywood casting directors who, for decades, defaulted to Northern European phenotypes for their leading women. The beauty industry, which profits enormously from selling products to women who don't fit the default ideal, and from selling the ideal itself to men as the measure of desirability. You were handed a preference you didn't choose, installed by an industry you didn't consent to, and told it was nature. It isn't. This matters not because the Stacy archetype is wrong, or that blonde women aren't attractive. They can be extraordinarily so. It matters because treating any single archetype as the pinnacle of desirability is a cognitive trap. It narrows your perception of beauty to a bandwidth so thin that the majority of the world's women become invisible to you. And it makes the rare archetype that fits the template disproportionately powerful over your psychology.
Evolutionary psychologists will tell you that certain features, symmetry, clear skin, indicators of health, are cross-culturally attractive. That's probably true, but beyond those broad markers, aesthetic preference is enormously plastic. It is shaped by exposure, by social learning, by what you see celebrated around you. Men who have spent significant time in Southeast Asia, East Asia, Latin America, or Sub-Saharan Africa consistently report a recalibration of their aesthetic preferences. Not a rejection of what they previously found attractive, but an expansion. The bandwidth widens. Features they had previously processed as neutral, dark eyes with particular depth, the structure of Southeast Asian facial architecture, the warmth of golden or brown skin tones, begin to register as genuinely beautiful rather than categorically different. This is not lowering standards. This is increasing the resolution of your perception. The man whose concept of female beauty extends across a wider range of types has more access to genuine appreciation and is less hostage to the specific archetype that has been engineered to extract status anxiety from him. Thailand is, in this sense, a masterclass in expanded aesthetic possibility. And that's before you've considered anything else about the country.
Thailand is not a new discovery in the geomaxxing conversation. It's been on the list for decades. But I want to make the case more carefully than usual, because the lazy version of this argument focuses entirely on nightlife, which both overstates one dimension and ignores everything that makes Thailand genuinely extraordinary. The climate is the first thing. Thailand has a tropical climate, warm year-round, with a dry season from roughly November to April that is as close to perfect outdoor living as anywhere on Earth. If you've spent 20 or 30 winters in Northern or Central Europe, or in Canada, you have lost months of your life to darkness, cold, and the particular psychological compression that northern winters impose. That is not melodrama. Seasonal depression is a documented medical reality, and low vitamin D is associated with everything from reduced mood to reduced testosterone. Sunlight matters. Thailand has extraordinary quantities of it. The cost of living is the second pillar. Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket, Koh Samui all offer comfortable to excellent quality of life at a fraction of Western costs. A well-furnished one-bedroom apartment in Chiang Mai runs $300 to $500 a month. A restaurant meal from a proper kitchen, $3 to $10. A motorbike, $500 to buy, almost nothing to maintain. For a remote worker earning in Western currency, the financial arithmetic creates a lifestyle that would require 3 to 4 times the income to replicate in London, Amsterdam, or Toronto. The food deserves its own mention. Thai cuisine is one of the genuinely great culinary traditions of the world. Layered, complex, regionally varied, cheap, and everywhere. This is not a minor quality of life consideration. What you eat every day is what your days feel like. The culture is the fourth dimension, and it's the one that surprises people the most. Thai culture is built on a concept called sanuk, the value of enjoyment, of not taking life too seriously, of warmth in daily interaction. The default social mode in Thailand is relaxed, smiling, low aggression. Coming from Western cities where the default urban social mode is closed, suspicious, and frictionful, this feels like a pressure valve releasing.
Let's be direct about the social dynamics, because vagueness here serves nobody. Thai women, speaking in broad cultural terms, tend to place high value on a specific cluster of traits: stability, calm emotional temperament, financial responsibility, and what Thais call Jai Di, literally good heart. Loudness, aggression, and status performance through dominance are not culturally attractive in the Thai context, the way they can be in Western party environments. This is significant. The traits that make a man attractive in the Western market, aggressive social dominance, extreme physical presentation, competitive status signaling, are not the primary currency here. Traits that are undervalued in Western dating: steadiness, warmth, genuine interest in another person, financial competence, carry far more weight. For the large proportion of Western men who score well on the second list and poorly on the first, this is a genuine market recalibration in their favor. Western men in Thailand also benefit from a genuine novelty premium, not in a condescending sense, but in the real sense that physical distinctiveness increases visibility. The man who is entirely generic in his home environment, medium height, medium build, medium coloring, stands out in Thailand simply by existing. This sounds trivial. It is not trivial. Being seen is the prerequisite for everything else. Thailand also has one of the most developed expatriate infrastructures in Southeast Asia: co-working spaces, international gyms, English-speaking medical care, large and well-organized expat communities. The practical barriers to living there long-term are lower than almost anywhere else in the region.
Geomaxxing is often discussed purely as a dating strategy. I think that framing undersells it and, ironically, sabotages it, because the men who move somewhere purely to improve their romantic statistics tend to build hollow lives there. They exist in a tourist bubble, consuming a country rather than inhabiting it. The men who genuinely thrive in Thailand tend to be those who fell for the country itself: the temples, the mountains around Chiang Mai, the islands, the motorcycle rides through the north, the food markets at 7 a.m., the rhythm of a life lived mostly outside. Dating improves as a byproduct of actually living well, because a man who is genuinely alive in his environment is more attractive than a man who is strategically present in one. Thailand rewards curiosity. Learning basic Thai, even a few dozen phrases, opens doors that money cannot. Exploring beyond the tourist trail, understanding the culture, building real friendships with locals rather than just other expats. These are the things that turn a location change into a life change. And a genuine life change is what geomaxxing at its best is actually about.
The visa situation requires attention. Thailand does not currently offer a straightforward long-stay visa for remote workers under 50, though the LTR, long-term resident visa introduced in 2022, covers certain income brackets. Most expats manage on tourist visa runs or education visas. Workable, but worth researching before you commit. The rules have changed repeatedly and will likely change again. The tourist industry in certain areas, Pattaya, parts of Phuket, Patpong, and Bangkok, has a specific economy built around Western male attention that is not representative of Thailand as a whole and is worth understanding clearly before you mistake it for the full picture. There is a version of Thailand that is an expat fantasy projection, and a version that is a real country with real people and real culture. The second version is far more interesting and far more sustainable to build a life inside. Heat exhaustion, food safety, motorbike accidents, and scams targeting foreigners are all real. None of them are reasons not to go. All of them are reasons to go informed rather than naive.
So here's the actual argument stated plainly. The Stacy archetype, blonde, blue-eyed, the Western cultural ideal, is not the peak of female beauty. It is one expression of it, heavily marketed, and it has been installed in your perception by industries that profit from making you chase something scarce and feel inadequate for not having it. The moment you genuinely broaden your aesthetic perception, not as a consolation prize, but as a real expansion of what you find beautiful, the world becomes dramatically larger. And Thailand, for a specific kind of man, represents something genuinely rare. A place where the climate, the cost of living, the culture, the food, the social dynamics, and the quality of daily life all align in a direction that Western life, for many men, has completely stopped offering. You were not born with a preference for scarcity. You were taught it. The question is whether you're willing to unlearn it, and what you might find on the other side of that unlearning. See you in the next one.